Greetings, Poe fans. Welcome to another edition of Poe Unplugged. I am Carmen Bolden.
And I am Jeanie Smith, and we are
The Potastic Two.
Come zoom with us into the Unbook Club dedicated to the works of Mr. Edgar Allan Poe.
Good evening and welcome back to Poe Unplugged for September. It is finally fall, and in Tennessee it still feels like summer.
It's still 90 degrees outside, so it'll be there for a while.
Oh, yes.
It's in the 90s today.
So I was going to say the group chose to do tonight the Oblong Box, which Jeanie and I started thinking, we can't believe we haven't done this one before now. And so it was a great suggestion. So who would like to start off the discussion tonight?
Well, as I was saying, for those of you that have watched the movie, was that a completely different story?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
I kept thinking is there something that's going to happen in the movie that's even directly related to the film?
Just the box.
Story?
Just the box. Just the oblong box.
Yeah, that was about it, the title.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, the rest
I've never
of it was
seen the movie,
completely
so I
different.
can't answer you, Gary. So
Because
even though I have the picture behind me from the movie poster, I have never seen the movie. So
well, and I mean, I haven't really decided if I really, really liked it that much, because I was thinking that certainly there's going to be something that's the same, but I couldn't pick out anything.
Yeah, there was no sea voyage either.
Well, he was buried in an oblong box.
Yeah, that's the only thing that was
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I
watched it this afternoon.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
And the only thing that the only two things in it that I liked was Vincent Price and Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I can agree with you on that.
I think everything else was campy, silly. It had nothing to do with Edgar Allan Poe except the name.
Yes.
That was just my crude opinion.
Oh, yeah. I call it Pinot, Poe in name only.
Yeah. And I loved the fake blood. The fake blood was just was just incredible. That was the best part.
And the overkill at the carriage.
Yeah.
I was like, he's dead.
Yeah. I lost count as to how many times that guy got stabbed.
I was just like, okay, he's dead. I just kind of like, what? And he kept going.
Hey, Carmen, we
And
can go along
movies.
with what you said with the Pinot and make it like Pinot and make it a drinking game to watch the movie.
Okay, there you go.
And so every time
That's
that somebody gets stabbed, you would drink some Pinot, Pinot,
Well, it's got the noir too.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, see, there you go.
The Poe darkness in there.
Yeah.
And it also had nudity. It had some nudity.
There you go. That's even better.
It did.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever seen a Vincent Price movie with nudity. I thought I'd seen a lot of Vincent Price movies, but I'd never seen this one, and I'd never seen nudity in a movie that he did. Not his nudity, of course. But
I'm a fan of Vincent Price movies, and part of the greatness about them is the campiness. But I would have to say, if I had to pick the worst film of his I've seen, this one was it.
There you go.
Right. And I believe this is the only film that he and Christopher Lee did together.
I think you're right.
No. They did another one together.
Okay.
Back in the 80s, The House of Long Shadows.
Yeah.
That's right.
yes.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, with Christopher
Right.
Lee.
Two.
Yeah, that's a
Peter
really
Cushing.
good film. Yeah.
And John Carradine. That was I enjoyed. I mean, that was kind of campy, and
It was, but I liked it.
I liked it. The critics, ripped it apart, but I'm like, no, this is Hollywood's greatest.
I don't
right
mind
here.
the campiness.
I don't
I
either.
don't. But this one was just, and I kept thinking, I guess I'll watch the whole thing, because there were times I was just thinking it's not even moving along. The storyline was not that great at all.
Yeah. And it's a shame that they didn't add more nuances from the story, because I mean, I think it would have made for a great film, just the story itself.
Right. I think you're right.
Well, I was looking on our
it
list,
makes me
Carmen.
wonder. I didn't notice who wrote the script. Does Price have anything to do with that, or is that
Was
Who
it
writes the
Corman?
scripts?
Was it the
I,
Corman movie?
No,
it
it's
was
not
not
Corman.
Corman. It was.
Okay.
It's not a
I'll look
Corman.
it up.
Corman movies are pretty good usually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I
Well,
keep
what I
looking
was
at it
going to
going,
say is that it's on our list for review morgue, but
Yes.
it's nine ahead, so it may not be this season that we get to it.
Yeah.
But it is going to be on one of our lists. But no, it wasn't a Roger Corman, and it's 1969. So
Yeah. Directed by Gordon Hessler.
Never even
okay.
heard of him.
I haven't either, but I did just
I don't.
I kept looking at it going, this isn't a Corman film. This isn't a Corman film.
No, it was
He
filmed in
sticks to 'em.
England. So maybe he's a British director.
Yeah.
probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking up backgrounds, and I kept seeing all these movie posters that had these tree roots, and I'm going, they don't grow trees in the middle of the water, people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an island, unless it's an island that just pops up in the middle of the ocean that they bury or something. I'm just saying. This has
Well,
nothing
I
to
don't know
do
if
with the actual story.
I don't know if I was sleeping somewhere, but I don't remember any scenes in this film at all that was on the ocean.
No,
See?
just a river or a pond. Or
Just the
something.
river, yeah.
That's the most we got. Yeah.
Maybe that's all they could afford.
It was an American International Picture, an AIP
Okay.
picture. So, but yeah, Hessler.
Not one of their better ones.
Filmed in England though.
Yes.
Filmed in England.
Yes.
Shepperton Studios. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Huh.
but yeah, I mean it's kind of and that's why I suggested watch the film. Yes, it is very different from the story, but I think it's good to look at the different
Right.
Sure.
Right. Because look at the discussion we've had about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and what it does for me, though, is what I'm going to say, since I'm the only one that hasn't watched the movie yet, not even any time before now, because and you guys know, I'm a stickler for not wanting to watch movies that are based on writings unless I've read the book first. So the one thing that really kind of ticks me off, what you guys are saying, is that they've totally just taken away the story of how this is one of Poe's truly macabre stories.
Yes.
And it's one of those that just drags you in, grips you from the very beginning.
Right.
Right
And
until the end.
The movie was not like that at all.
And that just makes me mad.
Yeah.
Because that, like Carmen said, those Pinots, Poe in name only,
right?
People, that's why I get so angry when people say, "Oh, we're going to take this book and we're going to turn it into a movie."
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I get really irritated when people say, "Well, the movie wasn't like the book." I don't expect it to be like the book, but I do expect that there are some aspects of the story or the book in there, a few. And I just, like I said, I just kept watching thinking, certainly something's going to be the same here somewhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
I mean, you're not expecting it to be verbatim, like just that, but you're expecting to take the feeling, the emotion, the tangible part of what makes that story so good and put it on screen.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that makes the story so good is Poe uses a lot of things about what's happening on the ship, the noises and the sights and the smells, and that none of that was in the film because there was no ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it ruined it.
Whole different setting.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Because of the time period. And because they took it out of the time period and it being in the water and in the ocean and that type of ship,
right?
They're taking away a whole part of the story itself,
right?
Especially towards the end when they're having to fight the ocean.
And
none
of that.
Yeah, none.
And I'll be honest with you, Jeanie, you'd be better off just to skip. I wouldn't even watch it if I was you.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it until it comes up on Review Morgue and Carmen makes me. Because that's when she
We can
says,
get out
"No,
a
you
piece of,
have
you
to
can get
watch
out
the
a pencil and a
movie."
piece of paper and write down everything that's different in the story. You'll have a lot to write.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes she doesn't want me to talk about all that because I can keep on going.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Well, all right. So let's move to the story, and who wants to start the discussion? I'm very anxious to hear what you guys thought of this one.
Well, I thought it was creepy.
Mhm.
And the part I
Mhm.
thought was creepy was that he had his wife in the box.
Yes.
But it was kind of disturbing when I got to that point. But then when I got to the end, and then he sinks with the box into the ocean, and the ship's been hit by this hurricane, and they're in the lifeboats and there's fighting going on, and I kept thinking to myself, oh, he really, really must have just been totally heartbroken. That I mean, he went with her,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I don't know I don't know what the right words are to use here, but I kind of it's kind of like, oh, that's love or grief took over at one point, and he just sank with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cheryl, I think you wanted to.
Yeah, what really struck me when I read the story was how many characters Poe has across his works that are unreliable narrators.
True.
Yes.
That really promotes a lot of suspense. It's a great tool, if that's the right
Right.
word that he uses, I think. Um, it made me think of Montresor. These pompous, kind of know-it-all, uh, overly curious
Yeah.
characters who um, are so full of themselves that they don't really know the truth. And they try, of course, to lead you down the wrong path. But I think I've read enough Poe that I don't go with that usually. But it does create suspense.
Yeah.
Definitely does that.
Yeah.
You're
I
right.
would totally agree with that because it's like how much is the narrator embellishing and how
Hmm.
much is the narrator going to give us?
Right.
And then it's like we don't really know who was in the box. It makes me think of the movie Seven at the very end when, Brad Pitt's like, "What's in the box?"
No, you don't want to
And
know.
yeah, and it's like we know, but we don't want to know. And then, to me, it alludes to, even like vampirism and things like
Hmm.
that, because with the thing that was to me the spookiest part of it was when he was taking the chisel and the noises of the popping
Hmm.
up, and it's like that wonder of the fear of the unknown. What is going to come out of this box, or is there
Right.
going to be something coming out of this
Hmm.
box?
Right.
And one of the more perfect things about this story is the physics side of it of Schrodinger's cat,
Oh yeah.
because you don't know what's in the box until the box is open. You don't really know what's in the box.
Yeah.
And the only person who ever knows what's in the box is the one that keeps opening it and shutting it.
Hmm.
And the only thing that the audience is the dramatic irony of going, do I want to know what's in the box?
Yeah.
Because and part of it, and like Cheryl was saying, the unreliable narrator is like the perfect example of every busybody and
Hmm.
gossip that there is, because from the very beginning, he was like, "Oh, my friend Wyatt, he's going to be on here. He's an excellent um, artist
Hmm.
and everything. And I can't wait to see him." And he's talking about how his wife and how beautiful it is. And that right there was one of the things I liked, because he was tying in the artistry with the ideal woman from uh, history for the Italian, of how all the mythologies and how the Greek goddesses and all this and the building of it, of who his wife is. So all of a sudden, when we meet the wife and and then the narrator's like, well, maybe that was just from his point of view. He was just describing her that way because of her inside beauty, not the outside. beauty. So I thought that was kind of cool how he kept the suspense and the, what's the word I'm looking for? The illusion or the secrecy. Can't think of the word I'm thinking of. But anyway, but he kept it going to where everybody just wanted to say, well, you know, we need to meet this Mr. W. Because that was the thing. You never really got to meet him until all of a sudden he's sitting with him at the dining table. And then I got thrown right into the telltale heart all of a sudden.
Mm.
It was like when he asked him, he was alluding, he talked. Now, this I thought was ironic when he alluded to the Last Supper about how that's what he had in the box.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you get the tie-in with the religion part there of the resurrection, of all this kind of stuff about the Last Supper. And it was like, oh, well, that's perfect Poe right there. He's got to have that religious tie somehow. Got the mythology going on with the description of the perfect woman. The Michelangelo or Da Vinci, not Michelangelo.
The Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
How you doing? I'm sorry.
No, the Last Supper. I was talking about the Last Supper.
Okay. Well,
Da
you said the
Vinci.
perfect woman. I was thinking of Mona.
Yeah, no, I was the perfect woman. I think I was talking about from Greek mythology, how like Donatello and Michelangelo and all of those would, portray them. And then he actually said that, oh, he's probably got the Last Supper in the box. It's why he's, opening it and looking at it. And so I liked all the nuances in this one a lot more than I have some of the other stories, because this one really, really struck the psychological chord for me, because it really showed this grief that everybody goes through and the suddenness of death and how people handle it, and why, some are okay with it, some are not. And then the lengths that people will go at the very end, sometimes that, to die with the one true love rather than trying to go on without them. So,
But that was an interesting point that came up is way he was grieving in private.
mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I'm bringing that up, it just triggered something that my grandmother told me, back when funerals were a big deal. And
Mm-hmm.
And when I was I had to go, you go, it was family, aunt, uncle, you went. And
Yep.
it was just like, and I remember my grandmother telling my mother, just remember, Anne, grief is a private family moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned that, little stoic me, just no tears, stand up straight and say thank you and yes, ma'am, and no, sir, when people ask you a question and they go on about your business outside and play. I mean, I carried it over into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's how you were taught. And like me growing up in the mountains, it wasn't until long and after my young primary years that I actually went to a funeral home. We always had the open casket and the funerals in the houses. And we sat, because you sat with them 24 hours. And then the next day, the pallbearers would carry the caskets. Usually it was to the church that was just right down the street, or they buried in the backyard, in the graveyard, the family graveyard and stuff. And I remember that it was always, somebody was always with, and like Keith said, you were always very stoic. You never showed any type of grief when anybody else was around. It was always a private family affair. And I found, one of the things that bothered me is it was like when my grandfather died, my aunt got really upset when I tried to show any emotion because I was like 14. And so it was like she wasn't allowed to grieve if I was showing grief. And it was like because there was a hierarchy in the family.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, so that was
It's
one
a
of the
Southern
things.
thing.
Yeah,
It's a
because it
Southern
was,
thing, definitely.
yeah, it is. It's a Southern thing.
When I was
It's a very mountain thing.
when I was a little boy in Missouri, which Missouri, some people consider it Southern and some people don't
Yeah.
because it's kind of in the middle. But young children really didn't go to funerals.
I wasn't young. I think I was probably 10 when I started with,
I was
you're a
going to
big boy
say,
now.
you would see kids maybe 10, 11 years old, but you didn't see little ones. Like people
No,
bring
no,
their
no.
little ones
No,
now.
no. Usually an aunt stayed back at one of the houses with the
Right,
toddlers and the kids,
right.
those little tiny kids.
Yeah, my dad's
Not in my
sister,
family.
who was a widow, usually stayed with the kids, and everybody else went to the funeral,
Yeah.
and the kids didn't go. Now we would have like a dinner afterwards,
Hmm.
like at someone's house. We didn't do it at churches. Like a lot of times now they do it at churches, but we would do it at somebody's house, and the kids were allowed to be there. But when we were real little, we didn't go to funerals.
Well, I remembered in my teenage years and when I hit my 20s, when the funeral would come about, my mother would station me at the door, and this was after the funeral and everything, and the days before, I handled the door because people were going to show up with casseroles. There was breakfast casseroles, lunch casseroles, there were dinner casseroles because at that time, to make sure we ate,
Right.
because we wouldn't have time, well, we wouldn't feel like cooking with this thought. So, I mean, to this day, I still show up to someone's house with a dish. My
Well,
grandmother, mother taught me that.
I'm from Missouri, and I remember my first funeral. I was 5 years old when I went, and it was in a southern Missouri house, and I remember being devastated. It was my great uncle who passed away, and I was devastated not because I knew my great uncle, but because my great aunt stood in the middle of the floor screaming,
Oh,
and so I can understand why a lot of parents would say, let's don't take 5-year-olds to funerals. Because I remember for a long
Here's the
time I would think about that and it was frightening.
the first
I
funeral
was-
that I remember going
Yeah.
to. I was 12. It was my grandfather's. He died 98 in 4 days. And I got to visit him in his room before he passed away. And the younger kids, because I was the oldest great grandchild, they weren't allowed to go in, but I was allowed to go in to talk to him. And my dad asked, "Do you know who this is?" And my grandpa, who was on oxygen in bad shape, said, "It's my Gary." So that really stuck in my mind because that was the first time that I ever remember going into a room where someone was near death and then being allowed to go to a funeral when I was 12.
Mm.
Mine,
Can I
mine,
revisit
Go
a
ahead.
thing that Jeanie had said? I think that Jeanie had said a while ago. I'd like to revisit it if I can. When she brought up about uh, Poe bringing in religion into the thing, I was kind of, I don't know, if shocked would be a right word, maybe amused in the book and the story. And I'm looking at it. He says, this is what he had been bargaining about with Nicolino, the Italian Jew. That's kind of like stereotyping. I mean, I thought I was a little bit surprised to see that, and I don't know, should I be surprised?
Not really, because for the time period, and because Italy has Rome and the Vatican City, because it's predominantly Catholic,
Yeah.
and because at that time, the Jewish, because of the civilizations back in the ancient civs, because Jews were taken to Egypt to become slaves. And not only in that, but Babylon, which was over in Mesopotamia, which was, Iraq, Iran, all that area. So in Italy, I think he was pointing that out, not because he was making a distinction so much to bring the religious part in, but he was just making it known that Nicolina was not of the Catholic area of Italy, but he was from the Jewish Italy. Because that's kind of one of those things, because like with the Orthodox Christians, You've got the Russian Orthodox Christian, you've got Azerbaijan, you've got, all these different where you've got the Eastern Orthodox, those types of things. So in those days, because this was, like I said, and this is like during the Enlightenment period. So a lot of that is where science and religion was starting to mix, but they were still very distinctive enough that you had to, when you pointed out a certain part of the world, you had to be very distinctive about the religious part that you were going to talk about. Because
I think
if
it
he'd have
just caught my
just,
mind. We're
yeah,
talking
go
about the
ahead.
bargaining and the Jew, and that kind
Mhm.
of stuck together with today's stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things that with the time period, especially when you have to teach, you as well as I know, Mike, you being a, a retired educator also, that you have to be not only teaching the actual story, but you have to teach the culture at the time when the
Yeah,
story was written. And I
absolutely.
think, and that's one of the things that's missing in certain areas when people read Poe or read any other author of this time period, like Dickens or Mark Twain, or like we were talking about Harper Lee earlier in those areas. It was a struggle, I know, especially what I've been retired for 3 years now, so 10 years ago. It was a struggle just 10 years ago teaching the culture to go along with it. And that's why history and literature are so hand in hand, because you have to teach the socio-economic and the culture of that area. Because in today's society, anybody that would read that would automatically mark Poe down as being a
Got
racist,
racist,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, no, that's not something else we
And,
need to slap
and
him
that's
with.
how it kind of hit me when I first read it, but then I was thinking about what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it was a different time at that time. And if you weren't Catholic or or Christian, then people, noticed that more so, and it was not as accepted as much as it is now, or should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is such an umbrella when teaching ancient civilizations that people
Mhm.
don't realize how many religions really are out there. And
Right,
I'm talking organized religions.
right.
So,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, yeah, you would be truly shocked to know how many organized religions are all over the world, especially
Well,
in
and that kind of,
one area.
to me, that kind of goes back to the conversation that we had earlier this evening about certain schools banning certain books.
Mhm.
And because they're not taking into the cultural aspect of it. And
Right.
Mark Twain is a good example of that.
Mhm.
I know a lot of books have been banned. A lot of schools have banned Mark Twain books because of the use of racial terms. Well,
Yeah.
back in those days, that was just common practice, particularly if you were in Missouri, where a lot of these
Mississippi.
books were based. That was just common language, and so a lot of people don't take that cultural aspect. So I fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad that I, even though knowing and having taught history and language arts and all that wonderful stuff, I'm like you, Gary. When I was reading the book again or reading the story again, I had to stop and go, oh, because I could automatically view how my students would have reacted if I had just said, oh, read this book,
Right.
or a parent
Mhm.
email or a phone call or something that I would have gotten. Because when I taught history, I had to face something similar when we were doing cultural uh, projects that were a World's Fair, because they were each signed a particular country that they had to research and find out about and present to other people. And you know as well as I do, culture, it makes up, there's like 15 to 16 different things that make up culture.
Yeah.
Whether it be language, education, socio, whatever, religion. And this one parent came to me and wanted to switch her child's country because it wasn't the right religion.
Mm.
And it wasn't even the right continent, first of all. And I had to explain to her, this isn't in the right continent. Plus, I can't switch her to another continent, but I could switch her to another country, but it's going to be the same religion because that continent was plethora.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of difficult when I had to explain to her. I'm like, the whole part of the project is she is learning and researching about another culture.
Right.
I'm not trying to change her. I'm not trying to, switch her to another religion or do anything else. I'm trying to educate her about
particular
another
culture.
part of the world.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things I'm like, with this, I was like, if I was teaching this today, between the religion, between the culture of the races, and with even the mythology brought in, even just with some of the wording that Poe uses, some of the descriptions that he uses, it would just be, I hate to say it, a nightmare that I wouldn't do. I'd be like, nope, sorry. And that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
when I was first teaching and I was doing Poe, teaching fifth grade, I didn't have any complaints from anybody for several years. And as I continued through my career and got closer to retirement, then I started getting complaints, not only because I was teaching literature and using, things that were legitimate, like with explaining the situation with Twain. I also was teaching American history. And I began to get notes from parents and I began to get emails. I began to start printing them off. And then I had to have discussions with the administrators about some of the things that we were covering. And I'm like, do you want to just throw history out? Well, guess what? The elementary school that I used to teach in, they're not teaching any history at all to those elementary school kids at all now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's
I
gone.
forgot that 4 of us are retired educators.
I taught
Yeah, I
fourth
forgot
grade for
Cheryl, Gary,
20 some
Mike,
odd
and
years, and
I.
then taught fifth grade for around 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So, and with fifth grade, I had 3 different classes of American history that I taught. And I mean, I printed off some of the all the emails I got and notes that I got that were handwritten and had a big old thick file. Sometimes I wish I'd kept it because I recycled it when I retired. I thought, well, what do I need to keep this? But like with all the stuff that's going on now, you just wouldn't believe, especially things that had to do with African American people. And where I live in Missouri, there are still to this day KKK organizations. I've actually seen a parade of KKKers marching right through the middle of the downtown area where I live.
Well, to back on that, Gary, to give you a little idea of where I grew up in East Tennessee, I had more problems with parents about what I was teaching when I moved to Middle Tennessee than I did in East Tennessee. And like
I'm not surprised by that.
There were KKK rallies. There was even, thankfully, I hope one of my friends I went to school with is not watching this, but her uncle was a grand master in the KKK. And it was like when I taught what I did in the language and I taught government, I taught language arts, I taught history, all in that area. I only had like one complaint out of anything that I taught in East Tennessee. So it's just one of those things that if I had to teach Poe is definitely something everybody needs to know, but you have to be very careful about where you teach it. And especially this story, because it's macabre, it's got so many psychological aspects to it, which I love, which is why the movie's just creepy behind me. But it should be turned into a drinking game.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I want to bring back to the story because I want to share something that I was thinking about. So Poe wrote this in 1844, and you know his nemesis, Rufus Griswold. In 1842, Rufus's wife had given birth to a child, and he was away. He had to travel to get back to her, and she died. And they interred her body in a vault. He would not leave her body, basically in the vault for 30 hours. And he like kissed her. It's very dramatic, the way it's written, but that he kissed her dead lips and took a lock of her hair, and they made him leave, And so in a way, thinking about this, the Wyatt guy and, going down with the coffin, the oblong box, into the sea, was there any truth to this fiction that maybe Poe took a little bit of what Rufus Griswold experienced and put it into this story?
And the two of them were nemesis who did not like each other.
Yeah.
And it was a way for Poe to make fun of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
I thought that too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When you started talking about that, I didn't realize it was that. That's just wild.
Yeah, because I mean that's just 2 years difference, and
Yes.
even less depending because she died in November of 1842. And so
I'm really glad you brought this up because I did not know that little jewel.
yeah. Yeah, it's to me it's a story that could be totally written about Rufus and his first wife.
Well, according to some of Poe's letters that are on eapoe.org, I think it is, that he actually corresponded with Griswold before they ever became arch nemesis.
Yeah.
They were
And
friends.
Griswold, Griswold even gave them money and they were actually friends. So this could actually be a type of homage for, I believe, wasn't her name Charlotte? Was this his first wife? Was Charlotte daughter, or was that Caroline? I knew it started with a C.
Yeah, Caroline.
Yeah. Yeah. So this could be Poe's way of paying homage to Caroline, about how his love for her and how it almost took him down with her. And at the same time, yes, it could be his way of little poking the bear about when he's laughing uncontrollably. Remember when they're sitting at the table and he asks him, and then all of a sudden his face goes wide and then he gets red in the face and then he starts laughing for like 10 minutes like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Is, I believe, a madman is how he describes it.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be Poe's way of saying how lovely, how much love there was between Caroline and Griswold, but at the same time, he's saying how Griswold just went nuts.
Yeah.
And he just, poking fun at him at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wouldn't even be surprised if he was doing both of those things on purpose.
Yeah, it's possible.
For sure.
It's
you never know.
Possible.
Yes. And remember, in those days too, back when the camera was starting to become popular, people would dress up the dead people and take family photos with them before they buried them.
Right.
And they just started embalming them, so they weren't ever. Because remember, in the story, it says the wife was half embalmed.
Yes.
And that's why they spread, filled it with salt to keep the smell and stuff down.
I know. Oh. Well, one other thing too that and this is because I am in the middle of listening to The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I don't know.
I have never
Oh
read that, and
yeah.
I need
Oh,
to.
you need to. It's
Oh,
really
it's great.
there's
I have a copy.
there's a few spots that are a little slow, but man, when just some really, really good twists. But there's part of it that, and she wrote, or Wilkie Collins wrote that in 1860. And there's part of it where there's some switching around of, somebody that's dead and now they're alive. I'm not going to give away too much, but it's like the Victorians liked to have that, you know, formality of, with in the Poe story, they had to fake that the wife was still alive by using the maid. And so in The Woman in White, it's kind of something similar. And so I was just thinking, that kind of is like a trope from back then in the Victorian times. And they did it well. They did it so well.
Well, they were because that was the Romantic era, and poetry too, like Elegy in a Churchyard, that all of those things. They were very obsessed with that. They were obsessed with the premature burial idea
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
All of that. And grave robbing, which was in the movie. That was a big part of the movie.
Right.
All those things fascinated and horrified them.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like, keep, pulling the covers up because you don't want to see the scary scene, the
Yeah,
bad guy coming in, but
yeah,
it's like you want to see it, but you don't.
right.
Well, in some of the older cemeteries and graves, I had read somewhere quite a while ago that they would put vents into the coffin to where if someone would wake up inside there, they could holler and people would, because they thought somebody was dead when they weren't, and they buried them, and then they could holler and they could take them out. Can you imagine?
Or they put
Well, I think,
bales with a string into the coffin.
yeah, the string too.
Yeah.
And I think
They
I
also have
mentioned,
a glass lid sometimes
Oh,
oh yeah,
Yeah,
around
that's
the head,
true.
just a glass, so you can
yeah.
see the face.
I think I mentioned in this group at one point that Chopin requested that his heart be cut out when he died
Yes, you did.
in
Yes.
case it was premature burial. He didn't want to wake up in a coffin
oh,
underground.
Yeah.
oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that was the kind of stuff that preoccupied them in the Victorian
It
time, which
wasn't
is,
so. Oh, wasn't it because he wanted his heart sent back to Poland or
well,
something?
there was that too, but his main reason was because he didn't want to wake up in a coffin. He
Back
was
then,
very
yeah.
obsessed with premature burial because it was happening. I don't know how
It
they
happened a
figured it was
lot.
happening. It was maybe more
Yeah.
imagination than reality, but
I mean, they didn't have machines like they could hook you up to now to
no.
see whether you have a heartbeat or not back in
And not
those
everybody
days.
was embalmed back then either.
No,
I mean, if you got
no.
embalmed now, you're dead. There's no way
Right.
you're
But they didn't
prematurely
do a lot
buried.
of embalming back in those days.
Mm-mm.
You died and the funeral was right away and you were put in the
Right.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the time the body was set up on, the bier and
Hmm.
in the house, and
Right.
they had the wake, and
Mhm.
part of the wake was making sure that the body was not going to wake up.
Right.
Yeah, that's why they stayed all the times and
Mhm.
to be there. And even now, because catatonia is still uh, very hard to diagnose, there are some people that even today suffer from it that, they've been sent to the morgue or whatever, and all of a sudden somebody starts to do an autopsy and they're waking up and they're going, what?
Yeah.
And even after they die, you can after rigor mortis starts setting in and the body's contracting and the muscles are going up and moving and everything, and that's why sometimes it looks like they're breathing,
Right.
and it's all because of the bed. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
One of my best friends, his dad was a mortician. And we
Oh,
were
yeah.
in the embalming room when we were not supposed to.
Oh,
No, no, no,
And
no.
a body was laying on the table
Mm-hmm.
and it sat up
Mhm.
Yep.
and groaned. and
Yeah.
we started screaming. And his son was working with his dad, and he was scared as I was. And we went running out of there, and we got into all kinds of trouble, of course. The person was dead. What happened was there was still air in his lungs, and that came out, and his body actually moved because of it. But we thought he was coming alive, and we were in big trouble. I couldn't go over there for a couple of months.
Well, I mean, the muscles, the
But I couldn't
ligaments, the
sleep for quite
tendons,
a while because it scared the hell out of me.
they're still, they're still activated because after rigor starts letting go, where the
Right.
muscles and everything have tightened up, that's
It's
what
like the rigor
causes
was
the
setting in and the air
movements.
came out.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's very interesting. And another thing about the story about the salt that many people might not know is since she was only partially embalmed, there was still a lot of fluid in her body and it started seeping out. So they put
Right.
salt in there
Right.
because salt causes it to, absorb
Right.
the excess. And that's why the
Right.
oblong box turned into instead of being able to float, this isn't a Titanic door or anything. So Jack went down with Rose on this particular island. So they neither one of them was going to survive this one. So, but that's why when the captain's yelling, they'll come back to the surface once the salt's all gone. And that's when the narrator goes, the salt, and that's why, that's why you didn't smell that body that was on the ship the whole time.
Because of the salt.
Because it was absorbing all of that. And that's why, and it was sheer miracle that he managed to drag that box off of the boat and tie it up
Because of
by
all the
sheer
weight.
just strength. Yeah, because of the weight and but it was like that's another thing that I had the Titanic vision, when he's tied himself and the box goes over and they just watch it sink and they're just standing there and I'm going, well, Jack went down with Rose this time.
Rose
Went down with Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
For this whole experience, I would chalk up personally the movie was a big bust.
Yeah.
Yes.
No feelings for that one. But
Don't watch it, Jeannie.
story, Poe's work, I would personally, I put that in a category of one of his really good love stories because I think that's what it is to me. That's what I get out of it. Kind of like the story we did some months ago, Bernice, Berenice, however you want to
Berenice. Yeah, Berenice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
You just don't
Bernice.
can't bear to let him go. And
I
I
always
think
said
that
Berenice. That's not
go back
right.
to Annabelle Lee when he goes out and he sleeps by the ocean because he can't bear to be out there without him or wherever she is. So I think it's just a really fine love story by Poe. I think he did a good job of it. I'm glad you read it.
Yeah, me too. I liked it too because I kept thinking that this was some way of Edgar kind of getting some of his grief out because isn't it this time that Virginia is sick and got the tuberculosis because is what only about 3. Yeah. No, I was thinking, isn't this like right close to her death? It's 1844.
She developed tuberculosis in 1842 and she died in 1847.
Yeah, so this was like right in the middle when she was, and so I got that feeling also about how he was putting a little bit of himself into Mr. W and how he was feeling and being alone. So yeah.
That kind of really does make sense, honestly.
Yeah, it does. And I think because Virginia would get better and then she would fall into, horrible, areas of, almost to death. It's like she almost died. She kept, it was the almost dying over and over again. And I think the grief that Poe felt was just, I can't even imagine going through something like that.
It's kind of like reading over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
You
kind
don't
of like
know
what I
when.
felt with the story. It's
Mhm.
like as he was telling the story about Mr. W, about, he would only
Right.
see him for, he knew he was there, but then the nighttime when he was describing how he would hear him sobbing and all that of a night. That's what I felt, is like I was feeling Poe, thinking of how he would watch Virginia suffer and not being able to do anything,
Yeah.
and he was like living the grief before she died. And anyone that's ever watched someone battle through the stages, like the last stages of an illness, would feel that
Yeah.
through this story.
I think there's a definite possibility of that being a connection for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm. So
Too.
I definitely give this story of his 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Really good. Any other thoughts?
Oh, can I share a couple of book recommendations?
Sure. Sure.
I don't know. I like to give people Halloween presents.
Mm-hmm.
And this came in the mail. Some of you probably already know who this is.
Mhm.
This is Levi Lionel Leland's new book about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And if you put it up to a regular book, you can see that it's quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
It's kind of like almost like having a little Bible.
Mm.
And it has these vignettes about different parts about Poe's life as a biography in here. They're just like a page or so long, maybe 2 pages, and it is a beautiful little book. The illustrations are really, really neat. So if you're looking for a little Halloween present you want to give someone, I really would recommend this because it really is pretty neat. And then the other thing that I wanted to show with you is I have a copy of Carmen's book that came today.
Have you started reading it yet?
I haven't started reading it yet, but I've been looking at it and it looks very, very interesting.
My copy
you.
came.
So a couple of things, ideas if you're looking for gifts.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my
You're
copy
welcome.
came. I just haven't read it yet.
All right. Well, I'll be anxious to hear what you guys think. So also too,
Are you going to tell them?
oh, yes, I am. Why don't you tell them, because there's something else I was asked to share as well.
Okay, you go first.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. Hold on. Let me find it. So, Steve, who is always with us, he's in Italy right now. He is his book is he has a Poe cocktail book coming out soon and called Poe's Potable. And I'm trying to find, here we go.
I think I saw something about it already online.
And he, let's see, it says on his blog, starting October 1st, he's going to be posting his Poe-themed drinks from the upcoming Potable Poe. And so let me I've got his website. Hold on, and I'm going to share it in the chat. There you go. That's his travel blog that he writes on. So wanted to definitely share that out. And so me, Jeanie, and my husband have, we've talked about our recipe book based on cocktails and food based on Poe stories and his life,
Really?
things
Cool.
like that. It is at Ingram, and we're waiting for the e-proof, and we have our date for it to come out on Halloween.
Oh, cool.
So yes. And I think we showed you guys the cover, didn't we?
I was going to show them the
I don't
flyer.
know.
Can I get, hang on.
Yeah, go
Give
ahead.
give me sharing requests.
Okay. You got it. I just hit it.
Okay.
We're very excited. It's 190 pages.
Yep.
Oh,
Ooh, look at that. That's neat.
flavored raven.
Yep.
And
Flavored raven.
Edgar Allan Poe
Holly
presents.
gave us the title.
Mm.
Yep. It's it
Nice
finally
ad.
got finished, thank God.
Yes.
So it's coming out, you said, on Halloween.
Halloween, yes.
Great.
And
That's really great.
bad.
And if you're going to be at the Poe Fest, at our vendor booth, we will have some little snippets from the book that you get to see. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and that QR code, you can click on it to sign up to get a
a
notification when it gets released.
Yes.
Great.
It'll be, on all like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, all those sites. And we're also going to take orders if you want a signed copy where we can all sign it. So
Nice.
I came across this book, and I don't know if anyone knew about it, but it's called Poe for Your Problems. Uncommon advice for history's least likely self-help guru. I happened to pick it up at a yard sale, and I didn't know if anyone knew about it or not. But it's kind of funny because
it's very funny.
There's a section on revenge in there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and Catherine, the author, has we interviewed her on the podcast. So yes, I've met her in person, and Jeanie and I interviewed her. Yeah, it is a great fun book.
Well, I'm kind of behind on my podcast. So.
What's the
That's
title
all right.
again, Keith? What's the title of that book again?
It's called Poe for Your Problems.
Poe for Your Problems. Okay.
Uncommon advice from history's least likely self-help guru. And it's hilarious. The few that I've read.
Yeah, Poe for Your Problems. I'll have to look into that one.
It really is.
That's great.
Well, and go ahead, Cheryl. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to be at Poe Fest as well. I know Steve will be.
Awesome.
I'm sure Holly will. Anybody else here going to be at Poe Fest?
Where's Poe Fest held?
In Baltimore.
Is this the one in October?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
This weekend.
Okay,
next
weekend.
I'm supposed to go. A friend of mine are supposed to go. Now, everything's up in the air right now because a family situation for him. So we might end up staying here.
Well, we've got a vendor booth, so definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
But I came across it online, just playing around, during a report period and letting it run. I'm like, oh, let me just type this into it. I can find. I'm like, oh, let's go.
Well, and I was going to say with Gary sharing out, thank you for sharing out my book and also Levi's. And Levi is going to be, we're going to do an interview with him about the book coming out later in October. And so you'll get to see his interview on the podcast. So. And he actually, for Poe Places, Poe Places chapter in our book, the recipe book, he wrote a section up about Rhode Island and gave us 2 Rhode Island recipes for the book. So he's got a little snippet in there. So, yeah.
Could you, by any chance, email us a connection to click on this to watch the video?
Oh, for for Levi's interview?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We're interviewing him it's the weekend after Poe Fest. And so we'll be putting that out shortly after. But yes, I will definitely email it to you. Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to watch it.
Yeah. So any other thoughts about books or the Oblong Box? Or should we close it and put it away?
We should salt it and let it sink.
There you go. There you go. So just a reminder.
I was going to say, let the movie sink. That's what needs to sink.
Yes, put the movie in the box.
I was going to say bury it, but I was like, no, it's wrong story.
Well, and speaking of burial, October 28th will be the premature burial. We'll read and talk about that. November 18th, I went ahead, instead of the last Tuesday of the month of November is Thanksgiving week, and I know people will be traveling and things. So I bumped it up a week to November 18th for Devil in the Belfry.
Okay.
And then December 30th, we said we were going to do Poe Prophecies, The Raven by P. Anastasia. So we've got the 2025, we've got it planned out, and then 2026, we'll have to decide where we're going to go with Poe.
Into the new year with the Poe.
Yes. So I guess that is it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. This is a
Thank you.
great discussion.
Yes, it's been fun.
Yeah.
See you at
And
Poe
Night,
Fest.
everybody.
Yeah,
See you guys later.
Absolutely. Have a
later.
good night, and we will, yes, either see you at the Poe Fest or see you in October.
I'll see you in October. And then if you're not at the Poe Fest, I'll see you. I'll see you at one point.
Yes, absolutely. All
Take
right.
care.
These days,
Bye,
I'm gonna go
guys.
to
Have a
Poe
good
Fest.
night.
Good
I'm
night.
gonna stop the recording.